discover real stories of hope, healing, and redemption. Join us on a journey to overcome the odds and bring hope to the world, one story at a time. Every story has the power to inspire, restore, and uplift others. From personal struggles to triumphs, these journeys show how hope can transform lives. These aren't just stories. They're testimonies of resilience and the power of a fresh start. Welcome to the Repurposed Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Repurposed Podcast. I'm so glad that you are here. And today we have a very special guest. One of my dear friends, Michelle, her bonus dad, is here, Rob Swymer. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Hannah.
Thank you
for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming. I know you have a really busy schedule, and I'm just so grateful that you took a little short window of time in between your travels and family to come here today. So
I'm grateful to spend the time with you. Let's have some fun.
Yes. Okay. So I was reading through the little questionnaire that I sent you, which I try to send all of our guests, just to kind of give me an idea of like where we're going with this, what we can talk about, like kind of your career focus, your mission focus, and you really delivered on all this. I mean, a lot of stuff is over my head with your career. It's incredible. So I'm really excited personally to learn more about that. But then what I was really excited about was you emailed me a second email and said, hey, I can also talk about kind of the start, my marriage, my first marriage, kind of what happened with that before, the initial days before I landed at where you're at now, the kind of build up to where we're at now. And I was so excited because Michelle had given me a little rough draft of your history. And she knew you in that first part of your life.
She did, yeah. I've known her since she was in grade school.
Yes. And then she knows you now, and you hold a very special part of her life today.
And
so
right back at her.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. But I wanted to read through just to kind of get started so everyone kind of has an idea of who you are, what you've done. So I'll read over just a little bit of your resume. Okay. You have a 40-year career as a global business leader. You're a TED Talk speaker.
I am.
You're a best-selling author of Surrender to Your Adversity, which is about turning setbacks into comebacks, which I think that's what this podcast is about, repurposing ourselves and things we've experienced and gone through in life, which is amazing. You're a peak performance strategist and founder of Peak State Performance. And let's see. Oh, it keeps going. That's right. I forgot I didn't do it on both sides. Okay. Certified expert in physical intelligence, which is helping individuals and teams unlock peak performance by understanding and optimizing the body's natural chemistry, which is hormones, neurotransmitters, and biochemicals that drive success. Wow. A frequent media contributor. You've been featured on Fox News, News Nation, and CBS, sharing insights on leadership, peak performance, and overcoming adversity. Man, I want to hear about that. I want to hear about your experience on those channels because that's pretty incredible. You're known for high energy presentations, which inspire and activates audience with practical tools they can apply immediately, which is a big deal. Because I think a lot of times you watch these videos and it's kind of like how-tos, but they don't really explain how to get started or how to really implement them. It's just kind of like, oh, what you can achieve, but it's like, how do I achieve them? So that's awesome. And then you were named Real Leaders Top Keynote Speakers of 2025.
Yeah, I made that list. Yeah, I was grateful for that.
And then something you didn't put on here, but I got from your website, was that you are a trusted advisor to several Fortune 500 companies.
Yes, through my career, yes.
Which was Home Depot, Bank of America, Dell, Morgan Stanley, Macy's, Equifax, and CSX.
Yeah, many more. Yeah, over 40 years, I've really sold to and led teams that have sold to many Fortune 500 companies. Yeah.
So I feel like I should just hand this podcast over to you. I feel like it's in better hands with you sitting here.
Yeah, this is great.
So, okay. Wow. Well, it's an honor to have you on. So let's just get into it. I just want to kind of start with, where are you from? Tell me a little bit about your life, starting out as a young child, kind of where you grew up, and how you got started in the business world and your family life. Let's just go ahead and get into that.
Sure, we'll dive right in.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Boston, outside a city outside of Boston, small city outside of Boston, blue collar, typical childhood. I was into sports, and I was a singer. I did some stage work when I was young, and ended up doing all kinds of things in that arena, and took that all the way up through college, and just a regular childhood outside of Boston, and had a great childhood, I think, overall. And then, sort of transformed into, trying to get into the business world, trying to get into college. Now, one of the things that, I did experience as a kid was a few things that maybe some listeners are going through now, which was I had some challenges. I had severe learning disabilities. So even to this day, if I read a book, I have to read it several times and highlight it. And my friends back home are just amazed that I actually wrote a book, because I actually never read a book in my life. So that's, it's amazing that I actually wrote a book, but it's just all part of, who I am now and breaking through those beliefs. But growing up, I definitely had those challenges, and was a very, wasn't a good student. And I wanted to go to college. I wanted to be a businessman like my dad, So I really started to work hard at that. And was able to get into college barely, but I was a late bloomer, and I started to do very well when I was in college, and got good grades and graduated, and entered the business world, because I actually started in the business world when I was in college. I could type. My dad said, you got to take typing class. Now, everybody listening to this is like, what does he mean by typing? We actually had typewriters, we didn't have that. Yeah. So this is back a little ways. And so that actually got me my first job in business. I was a secretary because I could type.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. So who would have thought, right? A guy could type. So I was very unusual. So I stood out, and I got a job as a secretary, and I started to watch what was going on in the business world, and specifically for salespeople. And I got kind of gravitated to that. We're all magnets, and I kind of gravitated to that whole persona of, hey, I want to be a salesperson because I love people. I want to be around people, and at that point, they were the ones that made all the money. So I was like, I want to be them.
Yeah.
So I got into that. So that's how I kind of got into sales. I kind of, didn't fall into it, but I did have aspirations. And I had this amazing career. I had ups and downs, like ebbs and flows, like everybody else. But as a kid, I always wanted to aspire to that, to be, what I thought was a businessman, and it was so funny how you look at things, right? I wasn't the kid that wanted to be an astronaut, or, I wanted to be a businessman. And I have I don't really know why, other than my dad was a businessman. And of course I adored him and looked up to him. He was my idol. And so I said, I want to be like him, So that's how I kind of get into that, but it was hard for me as, growing up, because I had those challenges. And then at a very young age, I was diagnosed with Tourette syndrome.
Okay.
So I had to deal with that. Even in, through my years, I still deal with it. I have a minor, I don't, I don't verbalize. I'm not going to, yell at you here. I always tell people I don't actually have verbal or yell at people. I mean, I still yell at people, but I don't have to.
But when you want to.
Right. Exactly. But, so all these challenges kind of built up with me, and they did kind of put a shell around me a little bit, of where I had some, had some issues with some depression and so forth. And that manifested later in life. I was an athlete in high school and through college a little bit. And so I didn't even have my first drink until second year of college.
Good for you.
Yeah, I know, right? But I made up for it because, later in life, obviously had those bouts with addiction and depression, and even thoughts of suicide. So I've kind of gone through that tunnel, and that's that all kind of came to be because of some of the things I think I dealt with at the younger age, and never really dealt with them, and never looked at them and redefined them. And that's kind of what I'm doing now, where you have to redefine your story.
Right.
And, that's kind of what we'll get into that. But see, I didn't have those skills back then.
Right.
That I have now.
But you had the drive, because even with the Tourette's and just, some of the learning disability that you had, you were still able to push forward, get into college, pursue a career in business because of your dad. Now, was it the same field that you were?
No.
Okay, so it was different, but
business.
that was what inspired you.
Right.
But a lot of people seem to say, oh, well, I can't do this because I have this. Right. So based on your childhood, and it just shows that you are able to still get through, to push forward. And then we'll see even more of that in your adulthood. So that's just a little preview of who you are.
Yeah, I mean, my dad and mom pushed me. They pushed me, and they kept telling me that I could do whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I think because I had that outward personality, I was on stage since I was 9, right? So I was like always, I was just outward, right? So I wasn't an introvert. And I think that really helped me.
Right.
And it helped me now as I go full circle. And we'll talk about this,
Yeah.
but it's like where I am now is like where I started as a 9-year-old in front of an audience, activating. Pretty
That's
cool.
so cool. I had a guest on last week, and we were kind of talking about how I think as children, we have a little bit more of an idea of who we were made to be before the world gets its claws into us and tells us who we should be.
Yeah.
So the fact that you were on stage as a 9-year-old, when you were young, loved the performance, the people, being outgoing, life has a way of kind of distracting us, I think, from our true passions and kind of how we were designed. But it seems like you were able to kind of, like you're saying, full circle, get back to that after some years of learning and living. But I feel like there's only a few people that are able to get back to truly their childhood desires, the untainted design of who they are. So that's neat to hear you say the full circle.
Yeah, I really believe it is, and I every day more and more I feel like this is just it's divine purpose, right?
Wow.
And I'm a servant. I'm just holding on and doing what the universe has
being
me
obedient.
do. Right.
Just
Exactly.
Yes, going with it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay.
Exactly right.
So then you made it through college.
Yeah, I made it through college.
You made it through college with a business degree?
Yeah, I double degreed. I get a double major. It's crazy when you think about what I did, and it was funny because I couldn't, I could barely get into college. I got into one college, I played golf and I played basketball, and they helped me get into the school. And I made it, I really wanted to go to this school, Bentley, which is Bentley University now. It's like one of the top tier schools. Now I could never even get in the gate now, forget the school.
I don't believe that.
But it was crazy because I actually went in and they said, there's just no way, my history and my grades. And back then, it was possible. I actually negotiated. All right, here I am in sales already.
Right.
And I negotiated with the dean, and I said, look, if I go to the state school and I make the dean's list twice in a row, will you take me? And the guy's like, sure. I'll never forget it. Dean Erickson. I'll never forget his name because he made a deal with me. And he said, you come back if he figured there's no way this kid's going to do this, right? Because he's looking at my transcripts. I wasn't even on the SAT scores. I was a blip.
Right.
So he probably said, no big deal. Well, a year later, I came back and I gave him my transcript with both quotas on the dean's list.
Wow.
And they let me in, and I got to go to Bentley University, and I'm so proud of that, and it's part of my past, and that school is amazing, and people know it now. And when I went there, it was a boutique school, and I really learned a lot, and I thrived there. But I also learned, I also met my fraternity brothers there for the first time. And that was sort of where it all started.
Okay.
And that's when I kind of had my experience with the fact that I couldn't just have one drink,
Right.
And that's sort of what happened. And then, everything kind of catapulted from there.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Have you seen the movie Rudy?
Oh, yeah.
You remind me of Rudy because
geez.
you had the determination, the passion, and the desire, and you've had the follow through.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to be, was it Notre Dame?
Right.
We just watched this the other day,
Notre
so that's
Dame,
why
yeah.
it's fresh on,
Love that movie.
on my mind. But, a lot of people probably discounted him, but he proved them wrong.
Yeah.
And you proved a lot of people wrong.
I did. I really did. And I'm proud of that. But also, I didn't do anything in my life alone.
Right.
Nothing.
You had the support of your family.
Yeah, my family. And as I
friends.
even when I went up and did everything I'm doing, even today, I have so many people around me, family, friends, a team that just love me and support me and keep me going. I don't do anything alone. No one does.
Do you feel like you attract that group, that community to you, or do you just hand select it?
So I actually,
is it a cognizant thing that you're doing?
Yeah, well, so I'm big on the energy.
Right.
And we talk about that, and that's kind of what I do now, right? So we all put off this energy, and we are absolutely magnets. So
Yeah.
we're going to attract what we put out there.
Wow.
People that come into my life are put there,
Okay.
and they come to me, and they come to
love
me
that.
because of a reason, and I go to them for the same reason, right? So I believe in that. I think it's really I know without hesitation that it's a divine purpose. Yeah.
I love that. And we are, okay, you promise we have to get into that a little bit later
Yeah,
too, because
sure.
that has always fascinated me.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about your fraternity brothers.
Love those guys.
So, okay, tell me about their role in your life in that stage.
Yeah, well,
'Cause
that was
it sounds like that's the springboard to kind of some.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy because, again, I hadn't even really gone off the rails at all. I was very militant in my, in my goals of being an athlete or just being, in shape and
Right.
not dealing with that. And I went to a fraternity party during Rush, and they handed me the solo cup, and said, "Here's the keg. Have help yourself."
Yeah.
And I hadn't never been exposed to that. I wasn't one of these kids that was drinking in high school and going to parties and going sneaking out. I was very very disciplined. So it just seemed to like take off from me very quickly. And after that, I just never looked back. It was quite a run for about 13 years, and it progressively got worse. But look, it happens. It happens. I don't look back and say, oh, I wish I never met those guys or I never had that experience. I am so thankful for everything I've gone through, and that's part of what the book's all about. And I'm here because of the adversity I went through, and I'm the person I am because of the adversity. So I embrace that, right? And I learned from it, it was just a chapter in my life. It didn't define me. It doesn't define me today.
Right.
It doesn't define me today.
Yeah.
And I met Bonnie, my first wife, when I was in college.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what year were you when y'all met?
I was junior.
Okay, junior.
Yeah, junior year, and it was April 25th, 1981,
Oh, wow.
and blind date.
Oh, gosh.
A blind date. So I was the secretary, and my boss said, "You got to meet this girl," and I said, "Blind date? Come on,
Oh, I know.
I don't do blind dates, Back then, I was like, I'm a fraternity guy,
Right.
Like I don't do blind dates, and she, so I had a blind date, and she opened the door, and that was it. It was
Wow.
that quick, and I saw her every night after that night, and I asked her to marry me in 2 months.
Wow.
And we saw each other every single night except the wedding night, and we were married the next year between the junior and senior year of my college. So it was, we were very young. She was 19, I was 20, and you don't hear that very often.
You don't hear that very often.
No.
But, Michelle and I both got engaged pretty quickly.
Yeah, you did.
So I know my parents only dated about 3 months, but they would say, hey, it's good to date long, a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But it seems like, hey, we had some good success.
We did.
With you, with Michelle, with myself. So it can happen. Blind dates can be
if love at first sight does happen. Absolutely. I agree. Look, and today you don't hear it very often.
You don't.
But I'll tell you, love at first sight, it's such a cliche, but I'm here. Anybody listening?
Yes.
I lived it.
That is wonderful.
She came to the door, it was over.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember the moment. I still remember it today. And we had an amazing life together, 32 years.
Oh gosh.
32 years. It was amazing.
Wow.
And so grateful for that time I had for her. And it was her time. And she was called, and that's we don't have that choice.
No, and I think we've seen that a lot in recent days. It's just you never know when it's your time to go. That's why it's important to live, kind of like you're saying, every day with intention and with a purpose and being obedient to what you're called to do.
Absolutely. I mean, I believe we're all here as servants, right?
Yes.
And we serve others for the greater good. And that's the mindset that you have to have. Now, look, I wasn't always like that. I mean, there's no way. I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, I was born this way, and I've always been this."
Yeah.
No, I've had my share. I'm selfish. I've been, made bad decisions, been in bad places, and then my addiction took me to places that I would never imagine. Depression. And again, for people out there that are suffering with that, and I got you.
Yeah.
I know what that's like. And my first year of sobriety, 1993, was horrific, and that's when I was really at my lowest. And became suicidal and didn't think I'd ever come out of it. Now,
Wow.
and by grace of God. I mean, it was definitely a God moment. I tell this story all the time as I called AA, and they have the test they give you, they ask the 10 questions, and I've called it before and I made sure I passed, but this time I didn't. I knew I wasn't, I don't even need the test.
Right.
And the woman on the phone, I said, well, I need to go to a meeting. I've got to get this done because I'm going to lose everything. I was, and she said, well, where do you live? And I gave her my address. It was outside of Boston. And she said, well, I want you to go to the end of your driveway, take a right, walk about 900 feet to the VFW club, and your next meeting's in 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And I said, that's a God moment.
Yeah. Wow.
So I openly talk about God moments, and I've had many, many in my life and continue to have them.
Yeah.
And I believe they're everywhere if we open our hearts to them.
Right. If we're willing to see it and receive it. Yeah.
You've got to receive it.
I completely agree.
And we're so closed now. The pandemic accelerated the loneliness, that accelerated how we close to each other. And that human connection now is not as strong. So we have to actively go at that. We have to actively do that.
Right.
Or else, people aren't going to interact with people, and it's all around us, right?
Yeah.
We'd rather go to Amazon rather than to go to the mall.
Right.
Or go to the drive-through. I never do the drive-through at Starbucks. I go into Starbucks because I want to talk to people.
I love that.
I mean, I want to talk to the person serving me. I want to see who's in there. Hey, do I know somebody?
Right.
My stepson Matt, who
Yes.
he always he tells everybody his favorite thing to do with me is to go to Publix supermarket. Because it's like I'm always like bebopping around talking to people. I have a real mission to get people to really start getting that human connection again and giving each other grace. Giving each other grace and
showing you care.
Yeah.
I think that's a part. Like we've lost that human connection, like you're saying, and I think it was really it skyrocketed with COVID and being stuck indoors and stuff. But I mean, what you're even saying about you reaching your low point, thoughts of suicide, addiction. That was the whole reason why I really started this podcast, because not only did I feel God was placing it on my heart when I had my shop and I was doing leather working and everything, but
amazing, by the way.
Thank you. Y'all have been such a wonderful support.
Yeah.
But also that, like I think the year I started the podcast, I had 2 friends who took their lives, and it was, they felt like they could not get out of that depression or whatever it was, feeling of loss or that they didn't really have anything to live for. They felt like that was their final definition of their life.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
No, it's the story they were telling themselves, right?
Yeah.
We can rewrite that story anytime. I mean, the numbers and the stats are insane, right? We see them all the time. I read the stat just recently that over 70% of college students report that they had some kind of depression or some kind of episode with mental health over the last 12 months. 70%.
So do you feel like the numbers have probably increased with the last couple generations? And like do you feel like with your generation, do you feel like that number was as high? Or do you feel like it's just getting worse and growing with?
Yeah, I think this is a multi-generation problem. Because I talk to leaders all over the world, right?
Yeah.
And the CEOs even, they're even in the depression mode, and they're even like imposter syndrome. And we're talking, CEOs that you would look up to and admire, and you just don't know what's behind the curtain. You don't know what people are dealing with. That's why I always say kindness is such a big gift, because you just don't know what they're dealing with. And I think these numbers accelerated with COVID.
Yeah.
And I always tell people that, COVID started as a health pandemic, but now we're in a mental health pandemic. And we are in it right now.
Yeah.
And in it really thick. And you can see it playing out.
Right.
And it's gut-wrenching for me, because I know that those people we can change their state.
Right.
We can change their story, whoever they, both sides. And it's so important that we do that. That we get back to the human connection, that we get back to helping people and having grace. Because
a lot of it's probably they feel alone.
Yeah. They do.
So going into Starbucks and saying hi, or making a friend, or, asking someone about produce in the grocery store.
It's so simple.
It's so simple, but it means more than you would ever know. I remember a pastor of mine said that he had some kind of function, and there was this big kind of motorcycle, rough kind of dude that was there. And I think he was kind of wanting to come off as kind of big and tough, but the pastor hugged him because of something he was going through, I think. And he said in that moment, the guy just broke down and was like, I haven't had a hug in, and I forget how many years it was, but like 10 plus years.
Yeah.
Maybe since he was a child. And it just shows you the importance of physical touch and like man or woman. I think sometimes we feel like men, oh, you don't need that emotional, but men really need it.
Absolutely.
They need that love and that emotional support more than we would know.
They do.
Think.
They do. And being a student in neuroscience like I am, and we'll talk about that, but what you just said is like, so if you hug somebody for 20 seconds, cortisol, their levels of fight or flight, cortisol, which is the fight or flight hormone, it goes down by 30%.
Wow.
10 seconds.
Wow.
And their oxytocin level will go up. So this is a simple thing we can do.
Right.
Or smile.
Right.
You know, those are ways we can shift people's state just by walking by them.
Wow.
If we know how to do it.
Yeah.
That's what I teach.
Well, I'm going to tell my brothers to get ready for a 10-second plus 20-second, 30-second hug next time I see them. My older brother would be like, "Ew, stop!" But my younger brother would probably receive it well. But I would be like, you know what? It's going to be an extended hug. You need it.
Everybody needs it.
We all need it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's go back because I'm excited to get to that. But let's go back to, okay, you met your wife.
Yeah.
You get married in college.
Yeah.
So tell me kind of the years that followed that.
So, I got married in between junior and senior year. And then we had a couple of years and we started having kids. So, we had 3 kids. Amazing. They're grown up now. 40, 38, and 33. So they're older on their own, doing amazing things. And then 2 grandkids on my side.
Wow.
12 and 10.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've got 4 as a blended, right?
Yeah.
So so my kids are amazing. I love them to death, and we've been through it together.
Yeah.
And they're starting to really thrive again. It's been good to watch.
Good. Okay. So then you had a family, 3 children, married for, you said 32?
32 years.
32 years.
Yeah.
Was your wife a stay-at-home mom?
She was.
Okay.
So our middle child is physically challenged.
Okay.
So that was a full-time job for her when he was a baby and little and all that. So, and then she did some volunteer work, a lot of volunteer work. She was also an artist.
Wow.
So she did a lot of commission work, and she was a painter.
Okay.
So she did a lot of that.
So I connect with her then because I'm a new mom, so I've just realized how much work being at home is for your family. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And I'm like, I don't even know how you did it. She had 3 kids as well. But your wife, I feel like I can connect with her because she was at home. She saw the importance of raising the children, of being there. She volunteered with probably organizations that she felt strongly about. And then she had that creative side where she painted and did commissions. So she stayed busy.
She was very busy.
Very, very busy.
She was a mentor at schools too. So she gave back, but she was a stay-at-home mom. We were a very traditional family, dinner at night, every night around the table.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you would go into work. Tell me a little bit about what you were doing.
So I started almost right away getting into sales.
Okay.
So I was, and I weaved in and out of different jobs and, next shiny object, as I say, right? And then I got into the software business before it was actually software. So all the stuff that we have now and that we take for granted,
right.
I was part of the generation where we just made it up. That we just started. So I always tell people I started selling software before it was software.
Before it was software.
Yeah.
Wow. So we have you to thank.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about thank or not, but it's a lot of hand now. But yeah, I mean, it was crazy back then because we were sort of blazing the trail, right?
Right.
And then through the career, I got more and more successful and started to larger companies. I did a lot of startups in the Valley and in the West Coast. And
so
then,
is that where you lived, or were you still in Boston?
No, I was still in Boston. Yeah. And then moved to Atlanta.
Okay.
Once I got sober, it was time to leave Boston.
Okay, so that's where it it kind of, so did it crescendo while you were married to Bonnie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All the way to 93.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about that, if you don't mind going into that a little bit.
Yeah. It was
Only what you feel comfortable
no,
sharing.
no. It was tough because I look back and I don't have regrets per se,
Right.
and I didn't lose my family. I didn't lose the kinds of things that some addicts would
Right.
lose, but I lost the time.
Yeah.
And now especially with the life event that happened, that's a big hit. The time.
Right.
And so, but I got sober in Boston. That was a great experience. That first year, like I said, it was up and down, but I got sober, and then decided we wanted to kind of start over.
Yeah.
So Bonnie was like me, a risk taker, and just did things, and we sold everything except the clothes, I think, on our back and some toys, and we got a small U-Haul. We moved to Atlanta.
That's incredible.
And started over again,
Yeah.
And we built an amazing life there, sober obviously, still today, over 3 decades sober. So, and, we thrived. We had a great life there up until 2013.
I wanted to ask you, you said that, that first year of being sober, and I'm sure, for other people, whether it's the first year or just the process of it, it is an up and down. Because I feel like addiction is one of the hardest things to just break in whatever form it comes in. What would be your number one piece of advice to someone who's going through those up and downs right now? Like what finally took hold of you to be able to kind of kick those waves of, addiction and breaking it, addiction and breaking it? Like, how did you finally really kind of put that in your past?
Yeah, it's 2 things. The first thing was surrender. It was the ability to be humble and surrendering. And as I say, in my whole principle in my book is to give in, not give up.
Right. Okay.
So that's that's my whole process of going through adversity and surrendering to it.
So what does that look like? Just saying, this is the problem.
Yeah, this is it, right? It's being humble and giving into it, because if you give into it, then you have a mindset to move forward with new purpose, right? Okay. That's how I looked at it.
I love that.
So I accept it, first of all. I have 3 steps, right? I accept it, and that's all trading the expectations for acceptance.
Okay.
What expectations did I have for that first year? As I'm going through this fog, and I had all these expectations, and but I never really worked the program. I just stopped drinking. So I was like I was manic, right? I was insane, right? Because I was like, I wasn't surrendering. I wasn't getting on my knees and being humble. I wasn't working the program. I was like, hey, I stopped drinking. Look at me. I want a medal.
Right.
Where's my medal?
Yeah. It's because of me that I've stopped.
Exactly.
My strength.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Look at me. I was still in that selfish mode where it was like, I don't understand why you're not bowing to me. I'm not drinking now.
Right.
But meanwhile, I'm a complete freaking mess, right? Because I couldn't.
Behind the scenes.
Right.
Like you're
behind the scenes.
Right.
So, so that first year is what I dealt with. And then once I got to Atlanta, a switch went off where I surrendered. And then I started to learn a different perspective, a different way of living. I had a great sponsor that sat me down and, forced me to do the steps, forced me to run the program. And then everything started to click and I started to really thrive again.
Okay.
And then I realized, well, wait a minute, this is a pretty good life.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay now. And then I started to really thrive, and we had an amazing life down there, like I said. But you asked what I would say to somebody. It's the surrender. It's also the fellowship. Wherever you are, whatever addiction or whatever you have, you can't do it alone. So I always tell people to rely on that fellowship and to go forward with that fellowship and really embrace that fellowship, because you don't have to do it alone.
No.
You don't.
And the fellowship, like surrounding yourself with the correct fellowship, the right and healthy, because misery does love company.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, sometimes when I talk to people who are struggling with addiction or whatever it is in life, I'm like, okay, look at who you're surrounding yourself with. Like, you took, although you probably had a great community in Boston, you still took up your family. Yeah. Y'all changed your environment. Yeah. You got a great coach. Yeah. You surrounded yourself with people who loved you and wanted your best. Yeah. And I think that's important, because I think sometimes if we feel like we can't move forward or we can't kick something, A, like you're saying, have you surrendered? Right. And B, who do you have around you encouraging you to surrender and to grow? Or are the people that are surrounding you kind of enjoying the chaos and the poop show that's going on? Because some people do. They thrive on that.
Sure, you
So
can be
that's
addicted to
important.
that. You can be
Yeah.
addicted to depression. You can be addicted to so many things in your life, right? It's like you're addicted to your story.
Right.
Until you break through that story and realize that you can rewrite that story every single day.
Right.
Right? That's the key. And until you figure that out, and it took me a while to figure it out. Believe me, I didn't get here where I am today without some serious work and setbacks.
Right.
And there's a lot of setbacks, and a lot of failures, and a lot of things that didn't go right at all. We've all had them.
Yeah. When it makes the win all the more special once you do get there.
Yeah, it does.
Well, okay. So y'all moved to Atlanta. That was a great move. You and your family are there, your 3 children, your wife. So are you still in sales? Did you kind of get
I've never
plugged
left,
back in? Okay, still in that.
No, never lost it. Always had the job, and then I started moving up the ranks and really enjoying my career. I had a great career.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, then, so tell me, unless I'm skipping over something, you then had a pretty hurtful, challenging event with your wife. Would you say that was kind of like the next thing in y'all's story? Like, obviously life was lived and it was good and it was rich, just with love and your community and everything. Would that be what time went by before that happened? Once y'all moved down to Atlanta?
Yeah, so that was 93 to 2013.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, so
okay.
Yeah, we had some time.
Yeah, you had some time.
We raised the kids. We raised the kids. I always say we pretty much raised them in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So, and then, we had our first grandchild in January of 13. And then, as you know, July 31st, 2013, Bonnie had that massive brain aneurysm. Yeah. And she's gone in a second.
Wow.
Life changed. My perspective changed. And my questions changed.
Yeah.
And that's sort of where it all started for me, of where this journey is now.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't that person that I am now. I sort of had the ingredients.
Yeah.
But I wasn't the person that I am now then. I was still kind of focused on, the prize, and focused on the money, the money, the deal, and the image, and, look at me. There's a lot of that. Back then too, even, I had a little bit of that in me. But I always had a sort of a loving personality, but I sort of still looked out for myself quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that changed in an instant.
Wow.
The switch changed, and the question that I had mostly was, why was I left behind?
Wow.
And I kept that kept playing in my head over and over again for a long time, because I couldn't figure it out, because she was, just an amazing soul, bigger than life. And I write about it in the book, where you could come into our house, and by the time you get to the kitchen, you're her best friend.
Yeah.
And we'd have Thanksgiving dinner, and there'd be 3 people. I didn't even know who they were. She just invited them because she met them, and they needed a Thanksgiving meal.
They needed that community.
Yeah. She was bigger than life, and somebody that everybody looked up to, and just an amazing soul, And I was just so lucky to find her,
right?
And so lucky to have her in my life as I grew. And she did a lot of that for me. She was a great teacher. And she brought me to where I am today. She made me the person I am today. Absolutely 100%. Because when I met her, I was nothing like this. I was very selfish. I was very cocky. I was very, into me, and then, look at me. And I'll tell you, I had none of the stuff I talk about today I even thought of.
Right.
And she taught me how to be humble. How to be courageous but humble, and how to be a servant to others, and how to be loving, and calm, and and all these things that I wasn't, because I was a type A++, and I was like running around, and I didn't have time for anybody, right? And she slowed me down, and she taught me that it's okay to take a breath and enjoy life.
Yeah.
And she was my yin and yang. She was my yang, and she taught me to be the person I am today. Absolutely.
Well, and like you're saying, like you were, you had that go-getter attitude. You wanted the next best thing. Probably the grass is greener going from, one job to the next. Not that you were all over the place, but you saw something else. You're like, ooh, let me try that. I can do it. And I was telling someone yesterday, there's a difference between pride and being proud. So a lot of what you had was great, but I think the whole thing in life is learning how to balance the God-given drive or characteristics that he's given us, but doing it in a way where we're not so focused on ourselves, but like you're kind of doing now, you're helping others through the gifts that you have. You're helping others find that pride, that positive pride, not the selfish pride, but being proud of who they are, proud of what they can do and do for others.
Yeah, I say swagger with humility.
There you go.
It's I think one of the one of the best CEOs I ever worked for, Doug Merritt, and he said that, and I've kept that in my head over and over again. Have humility, swagger with humility. It's just
I love that.
It's really a good way of putting it, because you need confidence. You need that.
Right.
People have to know that you know what you're doing, and especially in my line of work, I can't certainly go on stage with 2,000 people and say, I think I got this.
Yeah, I think maybe you could listen to me. I guess maybe.
right, maybe. So it's like you got to have that swagger, but it's a mindset for me. It's changed, and that night changed it. It was crazy. We're just in the hot tub on a Monday night with some friends. We're just having fun and talking, and 1 second, and the next second, she was gone.
Wow. And so you had friends there
that
we had helped
friends
assist you with the situation.
Yeah.
I mean, probably the chaos of the situation because it was so unexpected.
Yeah, we didn't know what was going on, right? We were in the hot tub, and then we had a waterfall in the pool, and she leaned over the waterfall, and I just assumed she was getting cold water on her face.
Yeah.
No big deal. And then she didn't come around. And I'm like, when I turned her over, though, I knew something was drastically wrong, but I didn't know what it was. Of course, couldn't even foresee this, right? And but she was gone, and we had we knew that, and about 48 hours, it was pretty clear.
Wow.
And we had to make that decision, and people flooded the hospital. It's an amazing story. We had a friend that owned a restaurant. He brought food in. We took over the waiting room.
Wow.
And people came in to say goodbye to her, and the nurses would bring them back. And that took almost a day and a half of nonstop people coming in just to say goodbye to her, and in their way. And I would give them that time. I would leave the room, or I'd stand back and give them the time to say goodbye to her, because she had such a profound impact on people.
Right.
And
that was probably hard to do for you, to be able to step back and allow people that precious time. Although they deserved it, they loved her. She loved them. You wanted them to have that moment, but yet probably selfishly and deservedly, if that's even a word, you wanted that.
Yeah, it was easy for me.
Oh, it was?
It was, because I knew the impact she had on people. And I'd watch these people come in the room, and I'd see their faces, and I'd see their hurt, and I'd see their pain. Like, I get it, and I said, go ahead, say goodbye. And it was a tribute to her,
Right.
And I said, well, that's how I looked at it. It was a tribute to her. That it changes your whole life. It changes your whole perspective. And that's when everything changed for me.
Yeah.
I mean, you name it, everything changed. How I looked at life, how I looked at myself, how I looked at others, how I led as a leader in business, and how I led as a leader in life. Everything changed. And it was based on that question that I kept asking myself, and I still ask myself, and it keeps me going because I still need to know that question is, why was I left behind?
Right.
Yeah.
So how did that affect your family dynamic? I mean, how was your kids in that? Did you struggle with anything, like that addiction? Because a lot of times addiction can be spawned on by stress and, loss and hurt. So what did that look like for your family?
Great question. So, my kids obviously went through a tough time, and sometimes they're dealing with it still. We all are, right?
Yeah.
The grief doesn't go away.
No.
It's always there. It's just how you deal with it, right? And so for me, though, I never thought about drinking. I never, I always, what I say outwardly is that today, I move forward with Bonnie, not from her.
Wow.
And I live my life in tribute to her.
perspective. Wow, that's a wonderful perspective.
So that's my mission.
Right.
So I would never pick up a drink because that would not be a tribute to her. But it's so funny how, because I know you're a person of faith, and I know that, and it's so funny how things work. But I later found out from her girlfriends that were around the pool all the time, you know, that about 2 weeks before she passed, she said, "Hey, look, if anything happens to me, make sure he doesn't drink."
Oh,
you
look
know,
at her. She's still, you know.
And why would she say that? You know?
I think God gives us unknowingly a sense that we just need to make sure things are in order.
Yeah. And there were other things that happened.
Yeah.
You know,
but she was still thinking of you.
Yeah, still thinking of me.
Wow.
And her soul already made that decision and knew that, you know, she hasn't got much time left.
Yeah.
But yeah, she said, and then this came back to me afterwards. And there are many things that came back. These God moments came back. But yeah, that sort of catapulted me into a whole new direction of how I dealt with myself and others and anybody I met, you know.
Wow.
And how I led, you know, in both life and business.
Yeah. You leveraged the pain and the loss and used it to where it's gotten you now. So let's kind of get into that. Okay, so that laid the foundation.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty cool. I never, you know, I've done so many of these, and no one's really taken me back to like, you were born, and you know, like,
tell me the day you were born.
I know, it's really crazy to kind of do all that kind of chronologically.
But see, if we didn't, then we wouldn't have known about you liking to be on the stage at 9 years old, and how that's a round or full circle. So I feel like sometimes little things get picked up, and
that's funny,
you know. But okay, so that's the foundation.
Yeah.
So you're kind of going into this new chapter of life, grieving, but with a whole new perspective.
Yeah.
On what you want to do, what you need to do with what you've experienced. So kind of tell me a little bit about.
Yeah, a lot of things happened, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, the first year of my grief was a complete blur. So it's almost similar to the first year of my sobriety. I had these two, like, you know, like, oh, here we go again. I mean, I really don't even remember the first year a lot, you know. And I was starting to thrive again in business because people, they embraced me and they helped me and they loved me. And the company that I went to was a very loving culture, you know, which I really, again, God moment. Why would I work for, I mean, a software company, a public company that has stockholders and board members and shareholders, and yet here they are, you know, loving me and giving me the time I needed and making sure I had everything I needed. That was just that was the right place, right time.
Right.
And there's a lot of that in my life. So I'm used to that.
Which I think is a divine orchestration, in my opinion.
Oh,
God has placed you in those right places at the right time.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. This is not me. This is the universe.
Right.
I had nothing to do with
it.
Right. And so I started to really thrive, and then I really started to embrace, you know, the servant in me, and how am I going to lead differently? How am I going to be different? And how am I going to not just be about me and not just be about success and what I have and what people think, and that it was definitely a journey that first year, because I was trying to figure myself out, and I never say no find my new normal, because there isn't a normal after that. So I don't really subscribe to that.
Okay.
But I had to find my purpose. I had to find my purpose, my new purpose.
Your new purpose.
Yeah, because my old purpose wasn't working. And I had a great life, I had a great marriage, I had a great life, great kids.
Yeah.
It's not like I wasn't successful, but it wasn't a good purpose.
Or maybe a new dimension to your purpose. Because you were already, you know, you had a purpose in your family.
Yeah.
And you did great in your career, but it's like it almost took on a whole nother dimension that you needed to then assume.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that life event was the catapult. And I think that life event was, you could even call that a God moment that catapulted me into that. And that's where I am today, right? So, and I think that, you know, when I started to really come out of it and then start to really thrive, and then have people around me that mentored me and showed me the different way you can be. And then, you know, I also think that, you know, Bonnie was up there, you know, doing the strings and doing the, and, you know, and making sure that she was guiding me in the right way. And she still does today. Yeah. And I believe that. And I'm fortunate, you know, to be able to do that and be able to say that even now. And that, you know, she's with me every day, with us, all of us.
I love that.
And it's it's definitely present. There's a presence,
right?
You know, and I can feel it, and it's guided me to where I am today, and like I said, full circle, where you know I get to have some fun and do what I'm doing now.
That's awesome. Okay, so then your perspective is taking on a new shift. You're learning how to kind of maybe live a life a little, maybe more intentionally with the time spent with the people around you, how you can really contribute. So I'm trying to, because there's so many branches, because I want to talk about Missy and I want to talk about my girl, Michelle, and how they play into it. But I also really want to get into this because I feel like a lot of what you mentioned and just some of these questions I had for you, I'm like, man, ooh, that relates to me. Ooh, I know someone who could really benefit from hearing that. So how would you take it from there? Tell me how that all plays into the timeline.
Yeah, sure. So
and land the plane.
Yeah, land the plane. I'll try.
Because I know those are some key parts, and I really do want to spend some time on your book and just what you're doing. But I also know that they're a huge part of your life too.
Oh, absolutely. So, when so I came through this journey with the first year of grief, and I had a lot of friends around me, loved me dearly, and they helped me through that first year. One of those friends was Missy, Michelle's mom.
Yeah,
and Missy was a friend of Bonnie's for many, many years, and I knew Missy obviously as Bonnie's friend, and we knew each other, and. All of my friends they sort of got it's funny how friends do that. I look back now, I laugh because they all have their thing. So you get the one that cooks for you, the one that, takes you to the movies or goes out, whatever. And Missy was the one that was like, I'm going to make sure you're healthy. Right, because she's all into health and wellness. So she took me to yoga, or she took me to the gym, or whatever. And
she was pulling you into those things. Now you're kind of pulling her into trying new things.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
So she's been doing this for me, and God, it was a little after, probably a year and a half after Bonnie had passed, and we sort of we're still friends, and we sort of looked at each other and said, is this? Do you like? We feeling something here? Is this and neither one of us wanted, like, no, this can't, we can't do this. Oh my God, what's everybody going to say? Well, kids. So I went to my kids. Yeah. I went to all three of my kids, and I said, hey, I'm thinking about, haven't done this in 30 something years, right? I'm thinking about asking Missy out on a date. And it was so funny. They didn't even hesitate. All three of them were like, oh my God, that's amazing. I would love that. Wow. We love Missy. You have to do that. Wow. And then I actually went to Bonnie's mom, who's my second mom. I just love her to death. Yeah. And I said, Mom, she goes, well, because Bonnie's dad had passed at 50 in his 50s as well. And she said, don't do what I did. Don't be lonely. You have to live life. She knew Missy. She goes, I love Missy. You have to. So everybody's like encouraging me. Yeah, they're on board. So we actually went on a date, and it just blossomed from there. And and here we are, just 12 years later, and we're married now, and we got this crazy blended family, and Matt, my stepson, I just love him to death. Michelle, I treat them like my own. I mean, I know they're not, but I really love them like my own. And then I got these other two grandkids too. Right. And I can't wait, Wakey Wake, and I call him Wakey Wake and Avery, and it's just
he's
amazing.
He's a spitfire.
He is
that one.
Yeah,
and then Avery's just this little sweet. Yeah, she was the one that gave me hope. I was like, I don't know if I ever want kids, but Avery always made me be like, if they were anything like Avery, I would have kids.
I don't disagree.
She's so sweet. And I love Wake. And I'm like, Wake is Michelle probably when she was young.
Yeah, there's a little of that. Yeah.
A little spitfire. So Michelle,
she's in for it.
Yes.
Yeah. But here I am now. I'm like, it's amazing life I have, and I get a second chance. And and the amazing part about this is that, Missy and I both have Bonnie present, and she went through grieving too. And Bonnie's in our life, she's part of our life. There's stuff around the house and paintings, little things that are in the house that remind us of Bonnie. And so it's
that's wonderful.
And it's okay, right. And it's accepted, and it's part of our life, and it's a beautiful thing that we have that.
Yeah. Because it kind of brought y'all together.
It did.
Obviously she knew Bonnie before, but y'all have her blessing, I feel like. And the fact that Missy loves Bonnie and loves having little parts of her around her is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and the strings.
The little strings, exactly.
I mean, Missy will tell you that.
She's pulling maybe a little bit of Missy's strings and bringing her into.
Missy will tell you that.
Yeah, and then
if she was sitting here, she'd say, "Oh yeah, she's up there orchestrating everything."
Oh, awesome.
I say every day I'm blessed beyond measure.
Yeah, you've had 2 wonderful marriages.
Yeah, I mean, my friends will, we have the guys have a saying, I outkicked my coverage twice, not just once.
I mean, what's the percentage of that happens in the world?
Yeah, I mean, both bigger than life.
Yeah.
Both, I kid all the time, and I'd walk into a room or go to a restaurant, and and they would look right past me, and Bonnie would light the room up. And if I went by myself, they'd say, "Where's Bonnie?"
Right.
And it's the same thing is happening now.
Yeah, with
Where's
Missy.
Missy?
She's beautiful,
She
not
is.
only outwardly, but inward.
Mhm.
She's just incredible.
It's a beautiful soul, and
She
I'm
is.
so grateful to have her in my life.
Mhm.
And our journey has been crazy.
Crazy.
In the last, a little over a decade, we have been around the world together. We've done some amazing things together. We were in London during COVID together.
Oh yeah, I remember that you lived out there during COVID. Y'all kind of got locked in over there.
Yeah, we got there about a month before COVID and couldn't wait to travel around Europe and had this amazing 2-year assignment. And about a month in, we were sequestered in our flat, as they say over there, for months and months, 9 months, 10 months at a time. And it was just me and her in the flat. So it was, DoorDash and Netflix.
There you go.
It was like I was living Groundhog Day because I was on Zoom 12 hours a day because I was actually the leader of that country.
Right.
And
Wow.
I was the sales leader in that country of UK and I. So I had this whole I had this huge staff and all these things going on, but I could only lead in this little screen in Zoom.
Wow.
Which is where I started my journey with what I do now.
Okay.
And that's sort of what catapulted even better now. So I started to really look at, okay, how do I amp up the neuroscience behind this so I can lead and inspire and empower through this little screen?
Right.
How do I do that? And that's when I became a student of the neuroscience.
Okay.
Yeah, it was an amazing journey.
Okay, so tell me about that because I don't even know where to start with that. A student of neuroscience. I'm like, man.
Well, it's really cool because I was in the last decade I've really doubled down and tripled down on being a servant leader and making sure I lead with empathy and emotional intelligence and that I'm present and mindful for the people that are under my charge.
Right.
Big thing.
Wow. It's huge.
It's huge, and it changes, it transforms people's lives, not just their business life. And I saw it, right? I saw it before I went to London. So when I got to London and that happened, I immediately said, I'm here because I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And this is the universe again, another God moment.
Yeah.
I'm here because I lead with love.
Right.
I actually talk about love in business is a competitive advantage. You may want to write that down.
Which is not something you hear.
No, you don't hear that.
Love and business together in one sentence.
No, not at all. And if you're listening to this podcast, write that down. Put it on the mirror because it's going to change your life and everybody around you. And I don't mean love like your partner or your significant other. But I mean love, and I have love in my heart for the people that worked for me over there and worked for me on my whole career and work with me. I believe that we need to do that. We need to show that. So what I do now is I show people how to actually do that and activate and ignite themselves internally. So they show up with that love and they show up with that empathy and they impact other people around them like magnets.
Right.
And now cultures are more engaged. People are more trusting. They have more grace. There's less turnover. There's less burnout. There's more energy. All this stuff happens, and it's all been proven by the science. And so now that's my mission. I travel all around the world, and I just show people, look, if you do this simple thing, if you just do this one thing, if you do this one body movement, you do this one breath work, or you say this word instead of that word, you're going to change people's lives forever.
Wow.
And I witnessed it. So I went to London, beautiful souls there, great team, a lot of people doing a lot of great things. But they had 4 leaders in 3 years.
Oh gosh.
They were a mess. They didn't have a lot of trust, not a lot of collaboration. And this was similar to what my life was before, right? It was like, you're just surviving. Right. And so I brought these principles to the table, even over Zoom. Yeah. Even over Zoom, I was able to do it. And when I brought these principles we went the first year I was there, #1 theater in UK and in Europe, and we just broke all the records. And we did it in the first year after they were struggling for 4 years. And I say we, I didn't, we.
Right.
Because it was really cool that they embraced this crazy American, right? I'm not even a Brit, right? And I talk funny and I look funny and I act funny and I'm like, I'm jumping up and down and I'm doing all this stuff. And, they're very reserved and they're looking at me like this guy's crazy. But they embraced it.
Yeah.
And when they embraced it, guess what? Collaboration was amazing. The trust and the love.
Yeah.
And we would say love. We would use that word. I used it. My leaders used it. I said, use that word.
Right.
And
it's uncomfortable, I feel like, nowadays to say the word love, especially to people that's not in your family.
Yeah.
So that's incredible that you're kind of breaking that, I guess, stigma against. And as a man, I laugh because my husband, Scott, is very big on using the word love. And he, we own a gym. He always gets on to me when I say he owns a gym. He says, no, we own a gym. Y'all actually remind me a lot of each other and just y'all's passion and love for community. But it's so interesting to see. He'll have clients come in and he'll work with them, whatever, and they'll be new. And he's like, hey, man, I love you when they go to leave. And they're like, you too. You can kind of see, like some of them are like, I love you too, man. But a lot of them, mainly men, and, he'll say it to the women, hey, love you, have a great day, whatever, when they're leaving. But it's interesting to see how these clients, they start out having a hard time repeating that back.
Yeah.
Not that you want to force someone to say, I love you, but just that emotional tie, I think, in that word, because I think love just, I guess, takes on an uncomfortable persona. But and it's interesting to see through time and relationships that they build. They're leaving now saying, hey, love you, Scott. Or they'll call him on the phone and be like, hey man, love you. I just wanted to check in on you. Yeah. And I'm like, man.
We're magnets.
It is. And the next thing you know, and that's the one thing I can describe the gym as, is a beautiful community. Yeah. And I think it's because of love. Yeah. And sharing that word, verbalizing it. I think there's something to verbalizing certain words. Yeah, so you actually have what would be called an engaged culture in business, right? So you've got a gym that's engaged. Your culture is engaged, and that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. And then the leaders and the stockholders and the CEOs that I talk to, it's like, look, if you have an engaged culture, the studies come out every year. Right. Yeah. Every year they do a study on Gallup does it, and engaged cultures are 23% more profitable. Wow. So I'm like, wait a second, Mr. CEO, you don't want to know about this? Yeah. You have to want to know about this. I bet you'll start using the word love a lot more often now. Or just to get him engaged. How do you get him engaged? Yeah. And a lot of times a lot of exercises I do and coaching I do, I'll say, look, use the word appreciate, for example. Yeah. That word is the same kind of effect. It releases oxytocin, the love hormone, right? But that oxytocin is not just the love hormone, it's the hormone of trust and collaboration and being able to show grace for others, right? And that translates into business just as much as life. Wow. And hey, I mean, the age-old quote from the Bible, the greatest of these is love. Yeah. Just showing that appreciation, verbalizing it. Right. And it doesn't take any, it doesn't cost anything, it doesn't take anything. It doesn't take away from you. And I think that I know that the vulnerability now is being seen across the board, even with business leaders, CEOs of Microsoft and Zappos and Google. They're all saying that empathy and understanding and grace is pivotal to success. It's not. It used to be woo-woo. I always say woo-woo. Yeah. Or it's soft. Yeah. When I was doing it 10 years ago, people thought I was really crazy. Right. But now it's really a game changer. So now I'm just trying to amp that up. So what I do now is I travel and I say, look, how can you ignite your emotional intelligence, meaning leading with empathy, being a servant leader in life and business, doesn't matter. Right. And you do that with physical intelligence. Yeah. So I teach people how to move their body and release these chemicals and neurotransmitters and hormones and energy, right? So people can feel that energy right back at them. And it's a very simple thing to do, and it's something that the science backs up. And I've activated rooms
And I just love to have that energy come back to me. It's an amazing thing. And it's real simple. You don't even have to be a gym rat or somebody physical to do it. They're very simple body movements. And I do that now in my talks. And it's just amazing to see the kind of reaction that you get. And the audience will look up to me and almost like bewildered, like, what did you do to me?
Yeah.
You know, like, what did you, I don't know.
Magic.
I've never felt this. Or, and I know that in business, it's a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do this in business, what you have is turnover. You have burnout. You have quiet quitting, revenge quitting. All these, these sayings. What is it? Quiet vacationing, and all this is all happening because of that issue. Because people aren't present, they're not mindful of who, they're not looking at the other person across the room and trying to show grace for what they're going through.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and do you mention those movements in your book?
I don't, because I wrote the book prior to being exposed to a lot of this. And that probably, so.
Well, I was going to say, give us at least one of those movements.
Yeah, sure. I can definitely do that.
Okay.
I'll sit down, but usually I'm sitting down, I'm standing up. But so oxytocin is the love hormone, right? So so I'm certified in what they call physical intelligence.
Okay.
It's the institute over in London. When I was there, I got certified, and I got to know the founders, and I got to know. So now I'm an ambassador and a partner of theirs, and I'm the only one doing it on the keynote stage.
Wow.
So it's a coaching platform for one, so I'm the only one in the world that's actually doing it and activating many, many people at the same time. So what I do is, one of the movements I do is the oxytocin. To release oxytocin is the Kate Winslet. So it's like Titanic, right?
Yes.
So right away you're smiling. So your cortisol's gone down.
I honestly, when you said Kate Winslet, I was thinking of her like
this
with
exactly
Leo
what
behind her.
Yep,
Okay.
That's exactly what it is. So what we do, we play the music, we get them going, and we literally they just spread their arms, they look up to the heavens, and they pretend they're Kate and Jack on the Titanic. And we do this for 30, 45 seconds. And a lot of times I'll do it for more because they're laughing. Yeah. And then, I'll say something like, make the sound of love. And of course, then they don't know what to do. Yeah. The guys in the audience, but they get it, right?
Yeah.
And then what happens is after, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, the whole energy in the room shifts.
Wow.
And then they realize that that's just one simple move. Anybody can do that. Right?
Yeah.
And there's hundreds of movements, but I do about 4 or 5 during my talk. But it's just a little bit of a little taste of what you can do. And then I offer them the ability to get fully immersed and really get into physical intelligence if they want to, as a company or as an individual. Wow. I'm trying to pass that word on in the States because it's over in Europe, but it's not here. And I think it's really, really important. So I always laugh because Missy in London, right? We're in this flat, right? She's like in the next room. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And she's watching me do all these, all these movements.
While you're on the screen.
Well, or just before I got on, I'm getting myself in the state, right? Or I'm doing the winter pose or, and so when I hit the button, I showed up and so many times people, 12 hours of one after another, right? Yeah. And I go, Swymer, how are you able to have this much energy at 8 o'clock at night when you had it at 7 a.m.? And so I started to really, expose them to this. And when I realized the benefits and then the financial benefits, then I went, okay, I'm onto something. So that's when I came back to the States, I said, look, I've had 40 years of, chasing a quota and selling. And I said, I'd like to kind of step back. I'd like to really, do something different. So I started to do this inside the company. And then when I retired, it was clear what my next chapter was, which was I'm doing what I'm doing now.
Okay. So, and that's stuff that you can implement in your family. In your, like you're saying, in your work environment, you can implement it as a boss and you can implement it as an employee.
Absolutely.
I just feel like in every aspect of life, that's something that can really be implemented that could bring not only, like you're saying, financial return, but just like a communal return, just relational return.
Oh, absolutely. I tell people all the time that you want to take this back to your family, your friends, your community, your church.
Yeah.
Everybody should be exposed to this. And this is a movement.
Yeah.
This is not woo. This is a movement.
Right.
And I am trying to lead this movement here to really get people to understand that it's, first of all, it's not rocket science. I mean,
Right.
like you said, it's like it's over your head.
Yeah.
But now that I explained it,
Yeah.
it's really not.
But sometimes it takes someone like, London bringing you in, someone
Yeah.
from the outside to explain something that really may not, it seems very complicated, but now that you've explained it, like, it's like, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
But it took someone coming in and taking the time to explain it and to show it. And,
Yeah, exactly.
and you do it a great job.
I
A great
appreciate
job
it.
with that.
Well, I mean, it's just something that I'm so passionate about it. And
Yeah.
because I love seeing the results, and I love being able to travel around and really see those results and see the activation of people and how they ignite those feelings that they never had before, and how they can bring those to their life and business, right?
Yeah.
So the whole idea behind what I do now is to live, love, and lead in that peak state.
Yeah.
I call it a peak state. So that's kind of that's what I do now.
So then different companies and organizations then have you come out, train, like, what does that look like? Do you do like small groups training? Or is it big corporate events? How all do you administer these amazing teachings?
Well, right now my main focus is as a keynote speaker. So I'm the keynote speaker of conferences and business, could be kickoff meetings or sales meetings or company meetings. So I do that keynote speech to either get them going at the beginning or take them out at the end, so to speak. So I've done that, and then I do workshops as well for groups of people that really want to deep dive on physical intelligence, and we do a lot of different exercises. It's only a couple of hours. I don't take them out of the, being a business person, I don't want to take them out of the field or take them away from the job for 2-4 days.
Yeah.
I do it for a few hours, and then we integrate, and we make sure we do integration at the end, so they really understand what they felt during the process. So we don't just do them and say, hey, have fun.
Yeah, send them out.
Exactly. So I bring them in and I make sure, like, okay, so how did that feel? How did that work for you? Was it uncomfortable, or, like you said, and just get people comfortable with the idea. So it's pretty cool.
I think that's great, because a lot of times, I think I mentioned earlier, people can say, oh, this is what you want to achieve. But they're not really good. And they can maybe kind of tell you how to do it, but really being able to have the time to show you how to implement it and practice it is really important to achieve whatever it is, whether it's a goal that someone's putting on you or a goal that you're putting on yourself. And there was something I was reading kind of through some of these notes in your website and everything. And there was these 4 bullet points that you mentioned on your signature methodology. And I just thought it was so neat and it's just kind of touching on what you're saying, that all of this helps develop 1, mental toughness, 2, emotional resilience, 3, energy and performance, and then 4, empathy and impact. And I feel like each of those things are in such short supply these days.
Yeah. Exactly why I'm trying to do what I'm doing. Yeah, you're right on.
And so when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so needed. Because all these areas, I know even in my life, I can be guilty of this.
Sure.
Maybe
Me too.
not having a lot of empathy.
Yeah. I mean, look, I do the same thing. I go up and down too. I mean, I catch myself all the time.
Yeah.
It's just making sure you have the tools.
Right.
That's the real important thing, is to make sure you have the tools.
And then even the energy, like you're saying, you're doing this from the morning into the evening in a different time zone.
Yeah.
So how, being able to implement that to where you have the energy and your performance is, 100%.
Yeah.
Like that's an emotional resilience. I think that's something that we are really struggling with today, just the emotional strength. And I feel like that's something that's really taken a hit. And I feel like since COVID, really, even maybe, or has been accelerated. So
resilience has been talked about for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? Harvard did a study in 2017, said that the lack of resilience, can cause depression, anxiety, even heart disease.
Wow.
So like,
just because of the stress and the pressure and of not being able to regulate your emotions, probably.
Right. And that's why really the book is all about overcoming that adversity and building your resilience.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? So that's why I have that 3-step process that I use, and that even as a kid looking back, I probably did without even knowing. Right. And so that's what I'm trying to pass on now. It's like just the 3 A's, right? Accept, appreciate, and assess.
Yeah.
So that's the message I'm passing on now.
So say those 3 again.
So accept,
appreciate,
appreciate, thank your adversity. And people think I'm crazy, but I'll tell you what, it's done it for me. And when I talk about appreciate, I also talk about making living in a state of gratitude non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Because again, the science behind it. When I studied that, I said, wait a second, if I'm grateful, I know the brain can't process fear
Wow.
or anger. Impossible. So if I'm in a grateful state, then I don't have fear, and we have a lot of that around.
Yeah.
Right. And we don't have anger. And we all
have
know
a lot of that
we have a
around
lot of that
too.
around.
Yeah.
So I know that if I'm grateful and I appreciate, I take that second step to appreciate where I am, then I've already shifted my mental state.
Okay.
And then after I do those 2 steps, I now have a clear mind to actually assess where I need to go, and I can move forward, take action, and move forward with new purpose and new perspective. So it's those 3 steps that a lot of work. I mean, this is not, not easy, but you've got to do that first 2. You've got to accept and appreciate, and you've got to thank the adversity. And people think I'm crazy. I know they're listening to this saying, I'm not thanking my adversity. It's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want, but you have to hack your brain.
Yeah.
You have to trick your brain. And if you're telling your brain that, I don't want to thank my adversity, then it's going to continue to hit you.
Right.
And the only way you build resilience is those 3 steps.
Yeah.
And then when you have resilience, what happens? So I built all this resilience up as a kid. I built all this resilience up as an adult. And then in 2013, I lose Bonnie in a split second. And if I didn't have that resilience, I would not be sitting here today. Because I would probably go back. I would do things. I would make just, who knows what I'd be doing.
Right.
But I had that resilience to be able to not just survive that, but thrive after it.
Well, and those 3 steps kind of play back into the concept of surrendering when you're going through the addiction, which is the adversity.
Exactly.
And,
it all ties in.
Yeah. And, they always talk about living in unforgiveness it's not holding the person who's hurt you for prisoner. It's holding yourself.
Right.
So it's releasing that anger, living in a state of gratitude. Like you're saying, if you're living in a state of gratitude, you're not able to be angry and mad and all the things. So it releases you prisoner to that.
It absolutely does. I mean, the brain can't process that.
Yeah.
So we know that. So why not take advantage? I'm like, this is cool. I want to take advantage of it. So if and it's true. So all the studies back it up. I did all the research. I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to be in fear or anger if I'm in a state of gratitude. Where do I sign up? Right. Because I don't want to live in fear or anger.
No. And most people I've noticed who have successfully come out on the other end of a trial, of hurt, of whatever it is, are implementing probably subconsciously, or they're not even realizing it, a state of these 3 points.
I did the same thing.
Of appreciating the hurt or appreciating the setback or whatever it is that they're going through. Not because you're saying it was okay, but that, hey, I can actually use it to make me stronger, to move me forward, to help others who maybe are still stuck in that chapter of their life.
Exactly. And it's a powerful thing to do.
Yeah.
And that's how you have to look at it. You have to look at it as something that's extremely powerful. It's not a weakness. No. Right? It's power. And if you can think of it like that, then that will empower you to do it. Wow. And I'm the same way. When I started to write the book, and I almost like that epiphany you have, and I'm like, wait a second, I actually did this as a kid, but didn't know I was doing it. I had no idea. Right? My dad used to say, hey, adversity builds character, son. Right. I think I got enough character, Dad, whatever. But now I get it. Right. And now when I started to look at what I was actually doing to apply it, and then I wrote the book, obviously, after Bonnie had passed, and then I started to figure out, like, okay, how was I able to bounce back so, quickly and start to thrive? Not just survive it, but thrive. Right. I mean, and how was I able to do that? To be able to model for my kids, my community, right? That you can actually go through this and actually, come out the other side. Yeah. And that's when I came up with, this is what I was doing. Wow. And it's a lot of the program too, right? The program was, you accept where you accept the fact that that your life's unmanageable. Well, I accepted the fact that my adversity is going to help me, not break me.
Right.
That was the whole idea behind what I was thinking.
Wow.
So I kind of reframed it. I took those words and I said, well, how can I reframe this to where other people can learn from this that aren't addicts, right?
Right.
That are going through certain different things. And that's when I came up with the AAA formula. And I'm like, okay, this could stick.
Wow.
And now I use it and I pass it on.
Man.
Yeah.
And that's in this book.
That's what this book's all about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, then let's to try to land the plane now. Tell me, a lot of times,
Instead of jumping out of it, right?
well, which you did with Missy recently.
Yeah. Last weekend. Yeah. Yeah.
And you're feeling it now.
I'm feeling it now. Yeah.
I've been there. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It is not a gentle sport,
No.
skydiving.
No, it's not. But I loved it. I can't wait to do it again.
And that's what you pulled her into doing.
I did.
So now you're teaching her to be brave and
Yeah.
to do things that maybe she would normally say no to.
Absolutely. I mean, we both walked over fire. That was crazy. We did that, 1,600 degrees. She went first, actually.
Oh my God.
And then when I was at the line, I'm like, oh my God, now I got to do it because
Yeah, now you
she
can't
already
back
went.
out.
Yeah. So we've done some crazy things, but it's all in the spirit of growth and breaking through, the limited beliefs that we all have.
Yeah.
It's really important that we do that. And to land the plane would be, that's exactly what it is. It's about, we all have these limited beliefs. We all have this story that we're telling each other, ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's so important to rewrite that story because there's so many things we can do and so much life to be lived if you can rewrite that story and break through those beliefs. I mean, just breaking through the belief of being able to write a book when I literally didn't read books.
Yeah.
And I, when I have severe learning disability with comprehension of reading, and yet I wrote a book.
Yeah.
I wrote a book that tells you that you can do that.
Well, and that gives me chills right now because I've been saying lately that I say the devil, I say the opposite of God, Satan, the devil, wants to attack you on the very thing that God gives you as a gift to minister to this world. And this was something that you were supposed to do. You were supposed to write this book. You were supposed to write curriculum that helps people get to a better place in life, in personal life, in professional life, and mindset. And that was the very thing that you were attacked in. That learning disability, that struggle to read or to write, and yet here you are, you were able to do it. And that just testifies that that was what you were made to do. And you were obedient and pushing through. And that tells me that's how important this book is.
I appreciate
because
that.
you were challenged way before you even wrote this book. The devil tries to attack us before we actually embark on the very thing that we were meant to do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
To try to stop us from doing it.
Right on.
But you pushed through.
I pushed through, yeah. And I was, when I was going through some things with the Bonnie Pass, I saw she gave me a journal.
Yeah.
And she wrote on the journal, this was was this 1999 or something? She said, for when you write your book.
Wow.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. So it's, it's
a
those
little preview.
Those
yeah,
God
little
moments.
God wings.
Yeah, those God moments. So I've got so many of them. And again, I can't stress enough, anybody listening, it's if you open your heart, they'll come to you. And you just have to open that heart up and they will come.
And I think, and you said it perfect, and that's what I was going to ask you, like, what would be the biggest lesson you would tell our listeners? And you answered that beautifully. And I think when I think about you and your story, you obviously were designed with such incredible potential to bring community to people, but you also lived that. Your life speaks of the community that you surrounded yourself with, the beautiful women that you chose in your life to motivate you, encourage you, and walk hand in hand. And I think that's important. That shows how important it is that we choose the right community.
Oh, I agree.
And to be that community for others.
And let other people inspire you.
Yeah.
Go to them for inspiration. I mean, my kids inspire me, all of them. Matt, Michelle, my Nicole, Eric, Wes, they all inspire me in different ways. And that's a good thing for a dad, to be inspired by his kids.
By his kiddos.
Yeah.
We can teach our parents a thing or two.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. I believe in that. I really do. And I'm in awe. I'm in awe of all of them. and what they're doing and the life they're leading. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Your quiver is full. You've got tons of great children and, and some grandbabies and a beautiful wife.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I'm proud to know you.
Right back at you.
I appreciate you taking the time to talking with us.
It was great. I had a
today.
blast. Yeah.
And then, so tell us real quick where our listeners can learn more about what you do.
Yeah.
Or companies can come to you, schedule you as a speaker, participate in any of their conventions. Where do they go to find out about that?
Website's the best way to go, robswymer.com.
Okay.
Yeah. And everything is there that you need to know.
Okay. And they can order the book from there.
They can order the book from there. Just, if you can, it's on Amazon. It's everywhere.
Amazon
or Barnes & Noble or, wherever you buy books. But you can get it anywhere.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, Hannah.
All right.
I had a blast.
Yes, thank you. We'll
Awesome.
have to have you back on once you kind of get a little more experience. Well, you have tons of experience, but maybe as you learn some more, write a new book, another book. I think that's coming.
Maybe.
All right. Well, thank y'all so much for listening, and be sure to tune back in because we have a whole line of awesome guests joining us over the next few weeks. Have a great day.